Hi, I'm Grace, and I'm here with John Askew and Simon Patterson today, and we're going to be chatting about a few different things, but this is in advance of our 7 events at E1 on the 30th of November. So, John and Simon, how did you guys first meet?
It was probably when John used to be managed by Sirius, was that it?
Yeah.
Judge Jules' brother had an agency, a DJ agency, and a record label called Sirius, and he managed a few DJs like Sonic, wasn't it? John, and we met on. They did a show, a monthly show at the Cross, which is now closed in London, and I was resident, and John used to play, and I think that's when we.
Yeah, I think the first time we met was at the Cross. I remember that.
Yeah.
And what year was that?
God, so I must have been. I was about 22, 23, so like
2003, 2004, something like that. Because I remember I had a residency at Ministry of Sound and then moved to Turn Mills, and Turn Mills had an issue with me coming to play at the Cross. I remember they were not happy about it, and I had to sort of persuade them. I mean, I think I only played there twice, maybe 2 or 3 times. But fuck, it was so good. The Cross was amazing. It was. Did you ever go to it?
No, I didn't.
So it was like they were like railway arches next to Bagley's, which was a huge super club, and very sweaty,
Intimate.
underground, intimate. It was kind of like Turn Mills.
Yeah.
Had the same kind of vibe, same kind of people. But Turn Mills was always on a Friday, and this was Saturday. Yeah, it was great. Good times. I've got some good photos of that, actually.
And what musical artists were you loving at the time?
Well, I mean, this is when Paul van Dyk was a real hero, and when in that sort of golden era of like 1998 to 2004, 5, it was new energy. Stoneface and Terminal were making really killer records. Obviously Van Dyk, but also I'm trying to think, what were the big records then? Mirko de Govia, do you remember him?
Kay and Albert were just
Kay versus Albert. Everything from that Euphonic label was really, really good.
Yeah.
Obviously Above and Beyond.
Above and Beyond.
Yeah, Above and Beyond. Great. I think then what was that label? I mean, all the stuff from Armin's area as well, the ID&T stuff, the what was the label that was it Tsunami Records that had Eon Pocket Damage and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's Ferry's label.
Yeah.
John, so at some stage in your career, you evolved into management, and you went on to manage Paul Oakenfold, Joris Vaughan, Will Atkinson, Leighton Giordani, and of course Simon Patterson.
And Eddie Halliwell.
Eddie Halliwell for 2 months, yeah.
And how did that discussion of you managing Simon first come about?
We were in Argentina. Basically, we were playing a gig. Not supposed to. We did play, but we were in a house, sharing a house with loads of people, weren't we?
Yeah, I think there was like a festival. Well, there were 2 festivals, and the promoter said, "Look, instead of booking everyone into hotels, I've booked or rented this huge house in this gated compound with
me, Jordan Suckley, and Decent Noise.
Yeah.
You.
I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
We were really caning it quite hard.
And
do you remember every morning, an army of cleaners would turn up, and they would clean up all the mess that we'd made the night before, but they would also then restock all the fridges. So these fridges that were stripped bare, one of them were full of food, one of them full of booze, and you'd come down like the next day broken, and you'd open the fridge and it was just pristine.
That's nice
all
of them.
laid out again. Yeah.
Yes, just go again.
We had that for a week.
Yeah, and then we came up with the idea of potentially managing.
Yeah, we spent 3 days solidly sat around a table planning it, talking about what we would do, what we would want to fix and change, and then we just went back to England.
I thought it was a pipe dream. I thought this is just all, we were just high as hell. And it's not going to come to fruition, but then it did. A couple of months or a couple of weeks later, John called me, and then I was like, oh, it wasn't bullshit.
No.
It happened.
No, it wasn't after hours talk. We did do it. Yeah, it's good.
And then you're both the original founding member of Seven. So what is the backstory behind that? And how do you feel the brand and the label has actually evolved since it started in 2016?
Well, we were on tour in Australia in 2014, I think it was, on that big subculture tour, which I think was the first subculture in Australia. It was massive. It was really good. It was a brilliant tour. Everyone was having a great time, and the idea was, well, I mean, originally I had A&R'd Discover Records for Pablo Gargano and Stephen Lowe Presti, and then Chris Hampshire bought it, and I was working for him. Then I went and started working for Perfecto and Paul Oakenfold and A&Ring there. I'm like, I'm signing so much music, but I'm signing it all for other people, for labels that I don't have any ownership of. So there's no, long-term vested interest, which means you're putting all of this energy into signing music for something that ultimately, when that job comes to an end, that's it. It's over, right? So I thought, fuck, I've got to start my own label. But one of the things I found frustrating in the process of doing A&R for other people was constantly going through shitloads of music that to find, I quite enjoy that process, but it was quite laborious, especially in the case of Perfecto, because of the sheer volume of music being submitted. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have a label where you just pick your 7 favorite artists, egotistically, including yourself in that, and then just releasing the music of those people, because then what you're doing is you're giving everyone their release dates and their delivery dates, and if they're your favorite artists, then you have to hope that when they're delivering music, it's 80% nailed, right?
Absolutely.
So that was the original plan, and then the lineup was what it was in the first instance, with Blazer and Freedom Fighters, Asterix, and Sean Tyas, obviously, and you, Will, and I, and then over time it kind of evolved, same as like you would with a football team or any sports team or whatever. It just became a little bit too restrictive, and I think also some people's sounds evolved, and I wasn't so into the new sound. I think Blazer went more and more minimal with that kind of break stuff that he was doing. Incredibly talented producer who was also doing a lot of film score work for like Marvel movies, for Chronicles of Riddick, for like, I think he was scoring shitloads of their trailers, their minute-long trailers, every aspect of it, all the audio. Really amazing sound designer and producer, and unbelievable talent.
Yeah.
But I think he started going quite minimal, and then Freedom Fighters also, his sound side changes, and then I thought, why it shouldn't be indefinitely just the same 7 people. We should have the freedom to be able to evolve it as the times change, and that's what we've done. We've had other people come in and leave, and I really like the lineup as it is at the moment, though. I think it's cool. So yeah, and then we started in, going back to your question, we started in 2016, and we're now literally just celebrating our 100th release.
Oh, congratulations. Amazing.
Yeah.
I personally love the way that it evolves and you bring in new people. It's not always the same people every time. I think that's really, it's unique.
It needs to. I think not doing that means you sort of have the potential to become stagnant or and also there's obviously new talent that's exploding and wasn't on your radar or didn't exist. I mean, in this day and age, new artists are appearing on a almost minute by minute basis. Every single lineup that I look at, I'm like, fucking hell, who are these people? I don't know them. And then you go and check them out and it's like, wow, they're already huge and they're amazing. So and I think that's a good thing. I think the internet and social media have allowed people to really make a name for themselves without having to rely on traditional press like you used to have to.
And Simon, so you've nearly had a year out from touring following your battle with addiction.
Yeah.
And subsequent time in rehab. Am I right in thinking you're now days away from 1 year of sobriety?
Yeah, 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been definitely a tough journey for me.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
Good. Feeling, I have bad days. I've had a couple of rough months with friends dying, my mum being sick, and
Yeah,
but I have no urge to drink, which is great.
Yeah.
I know that's not a solution, but it's not easy. It's
Yeah.
I have to think. It's not that I'm thinking about it regularly, but it's like I know that I can't do that ever again. It's like very hard for me to be around friends that are going out, and it's not that it's a bit FOMO for me, but I know that the difference between them and me is that they can stop and I can't. So that's I know that now. So, but it took me a long time to get to rock bottom, and my aim would be to help the young kids that are starting in this industry to show them that a different way, because I definitely messed up a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to make amends somehow to the youth.
It's brilliant that you're about to be 1 year from sobriety.
Definitely.
So sort of moving from that, question for both of you then, do you feel addiction in the industry, especially with electronic music, where drugs are almost, they're common in the scene? Is it a huge problem for touring artists? And do you feel there's enough support infrastructures or information in place to help those in need of help?
For an artist who's touring regularly, I don't think there's a time to think that I need to go and get help, because they haven't got a chance to stop. For me, like, it was just COVID gave me a chance to take that break, and then when it started again, when I realized, okay, I'm back into this habit, I'd already had that break to know that, shit, I can't keep doing this. But if I'd kept on going, touring, it would never have stopped, because I would never have I would always be hammered.
Habit.
One gig to the next gig to the next gig. It would never stop, and I'd never have that moment of like clarity to go, I have a problem here, because it's just a party to a party to a party. And I think artists who are in that like constant, cycle or rat race, it's very, very hard.
It's tricky because, while it can outwardly appear quite a glamorous thing to a lot of people, it's actually really quite a fucking grueling thing to be in this, to be touring to that level, especially when you're zigzagging across the world with colossal flights, and obviously everywhere you get to, whether you're in a different time zone, whether you've not slept, whether you're absolutely broken from sleep deprivation and whatever, you're expected to still be on your best, to perform and to give it your best, and to come, with your A game. And I think it's very easy for artists to slip into the routine of relying on drugs or whatever to give them that little boost when they're fucked from just simply being tired, especially in electronic music, where club environments in electronic music and festivals, green rooms, they're all just drug heavy environments, and as a result it's an incredibly easy place to slip into that kind of routine. And so I think it's amazing that you're coming up 1 year sober. I think you should be incredibly proud of that, as I am. And I have to say, I thank God that COVID did happen, because you were on the edge. And I think if COVID hadn't happened, you probably wouldn't be here today.
Yeah, for sure. It's a sad, and I had to take that. I wouldn't have realized that.
No, but you would surely. I think we've talked about this a lot. Obviously, it's been quite a delicate thing, but if there is some way that this story and this experience from both sides can be utilized to help other people, guide other people, or because going back to your other point, I don't think there is a sufficient amount of support in not just electronic music, but in the music industry generally. Because whether you're a DJ or you're in a band, your record label, your management, etc., they're only making money if you're touring, right? So there's always, when an artist blows up, there's a hunger from the artist to tour as much as possible, and there's a want to fulfill that from the management and booking agent side, because that's how they make their commission, right?
Yeah.
But what happens when you get an artist who is clearly descending into that situation? It takes quite a strong moral stance to be able to stand up and go, I'm going to forfeit all the money to say you need to stop touring or you're going to be dead soon. And it's happened to a lot of people. It's going to continue happening to a lot of people, and I don't think there is does anyone know a fucking phone number that you can call and say, I'm fucked, I need help?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you, AA and NA, I mean, those guys, everything that what they do is incredible. There is help out there, but it's very hard for an artist to admit that I need help, because you're just constantly going from one party to the next. You don't stop to know I need help.
Kind of
You know,
part of
this
your
just
job.
becomes the norm.
Yeah.
It's like before you know it, it's just, well, I just, yeah, sad. It's very sad.
I think also there's a if you hold your hand up and say that sort of shit, first of all, it takes a great deal of bravery to admit that and to admit it publicly. But I think also some promoters then go, ooh, not sure about booking you again. And yet they're the ones that are plying you with drink and drugs in the first place quite often. So
Yeah, there's that cycle
yeah,
again.
it is.
Yeah.
It needs to be discussed. And young superstars blowing up in the scene need that there is a duty of care from record labels, management companies, advancing companies, booking agents, and promoters. There is a duty of care to look after these people, because it's incredibly precarious when you get to a certain point and your touring schedule is heavy.
Absolutely. And while you were taking time out to focus on your recovery, you've been heads down making a lot of music.
Yeah, that's my new addiction.
Please tell us more about that. What's coming up between now and the end of the year for you?
I've been making absolute, that's my thing. I just, I went from, taking lots of drugs and drinking every day to just sitting in my room making music on my own. So it's sort of haven't really changed. But no, I'm making lots of music, and it's just whatever I feel like. There's no real like plan. I don't sit down and go, I want to make this. I just sit down and that's what comes out. But yeah, coming up, I have a remix that I did for Karen Overton, Your Loving Arms.
Yes.
I know I've got a remix of my old track Bulldozer. My new track Tank is coming out, which I made in rehab. Is coming out this week on Friday. And what else is coming out?
Your cover of Utah Saints?
Yeah, Utah Saints.
Wow,
yeah,
that
I've
sounds
got
good.
loads of stuff. It's just, but yeah, I'm in a flow of doing it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm loving it. That's all. That's all I have. If you tell me that, if you take that away from me, I haven't got anything. I'm happy to not drink. I'm happy to not do drugs, but I need to have something. And it's either sweets or music. So yeah.
An exciting time for music.
Haribos.
Yeah, I'm keeping those guys in business.
And John, so you've also been releasing singles for your forthcoming artist album.
Yeah, that's right.
Which comes out at the end of September.
That's right. Yeah.
Tell us more about that album. What's it called?
The album is called A Room Full of Pros and Cons, and it's 16 tracks.
Yeah.
It's quite banging. It's quite hard.
Yeah.
Is quite a lot of trance, some side trance, some techno. There's some break beats, some down tempo shit as well. There's a really great there's a few records on there with Shelby Merry, who I love working with. She's so good at.
I love her voice.
Yeah, it's great. I mean,
When Darkness Comes.
It's kind of that's right.
Yeah.
So she's got this sort of quite thick, velvety tone.
Beautiful.
But also her ability to write lyrics that really break your heart. Quite melancholic and quite dark and sinister in a way.
Yeah.
I think she's a master at doing that. And so there's a record which is the closing track on the album called Wild Horse. That is kind of like in the lyrics she obviously wrote. She wrote the song. But musically, it's more. I approached it inspired more by like Blue Lines, Massive Attack's seminal album Blue Lines, which I loved as a teenager. It was just a great. So there's a variety of different stuff on there. I'm 2 more singles away from releasing the full album at the end of September. It's taken me 6 years to make this album.
Wow, it's a long time.
Well, weirdly, right? Well, this is the weird thing, and this is something Joris Vaughan said to me, which really resonated. Was making a track, 90% of the work gets done in the first session, but then the last 10% takes 90% of the time.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like the.
Why is that?
It's sort of like you have a great flow, and you just get all the ideas down, and you're not thinking about the sonic the mix and the intricate details and the processing of individual sounds to make them sound big and wide and stuff. And so like version 3 or 4, if you compare version 3 or 4 to the finished track that gets released, there's not actually a huge amount of difference between the two in terms of what's going on. You know, obviously that's not always the case, but quite often. But it's normally about version 35 or 36 that ends up being the final version, because you play it in a club, it sounds shit. You've got to go back, you've got to change it. You keep going back and back and back and back, and it's a laborious process. But I'm proud of this body of work, and it's definitely been a labor of love. And I know there's a sort of thought that who knows whether kids these days have got the fucking patience to listen to a 16-track album.
I'll listen to it.
But when they put me on a hole in the ground, you know, this will be the thing that I want left behind with my name on it.
Fantastic, I can't wait for it. So you've both played back-to-back multiple times. So in Australia, Argentina, here in the UK, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, Bangkok, Singapore, Malaysia. And when and where did you guys first play back-to-back?
Yeah, it was that fucking awful one.
Oh yeah, of course.
Clash of the Gods. Yeah. It was a God's Kitchen event called Clash of the Gods in Birmingham, at the O2 in Birmingham, and it was fucking shit. I mean, the night wasn't shit, it was great. The back-to-back set was shit and in fact, you were fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
It was me that was shit. And I don't know, I just picked all the wrong tunes. Simon was playing mostly side trance, and I was just playing dog shit, and I hated almost every track I was playing. And also, it's like an auditorium with a balcony at the top on each side. And I don't know if you remember this, but there was a guy at the top who all the way through the whole set was like a skinhead, was just up there, and he was just doing this all the way through the set.
Thank God I didn't see that.
Which was so disconcerting, because like you're trying to like play.
I reckon he was saying your tunes were shit, basically.
Either that, or it's like you're in fucking trouble,
because your tunes are shit.
Because your tunes are shit.
And you kept looking at him.
Well, like, how can you, like, I was sort of like, when is this guy's ecstasy going to kick in and chill him the fuck out, you know? But it never did. He was just...
Oh no, how long was the back-to-back?
An hour. It was just an hour, but I hated it. And I left. The second I came off, I was just like, I'm out of here, I'm gone. Hated it. And then we did no preparation for it.
No.
Okay. So did you learn from that then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what made us even think let's do it again then?
I don't know, but then we did go on to play all these cities and
well, technically I didn't play Singapore because I played one tune and took a pill and then fucked off. Left him there the whole night. I was sitting there just with all these Chinese people drinking. And
oh my God! Like we were playing back to back.
What song did you play?
Yeah, probably just.
Well, no,
I played 4 for you, then see ya.
You were there for. I think we were playing for 6 hours, and you were there for 5, and then, you know, I think we were doing 2 tracks on, 2 tracks off, and I'd played 2 tracks, and then turned around and Simon wasn't there. And so I said to the promoter, I said, "Can you get Simon? It's his turn to
He's
go."
long gone.
And he said, "He's left. He's gone. He's left." And I said, "Where's he gone?" He said, "Oh, he went with that whole table of people. They were going to an after party." And he went, "Yeah, I'll go with you." It's like, right.
Yeah.
Did you then go back to that party?
No. I carried on playing. I had an hour. We were playing in Zouk, and it was packed, and it was going off. And I'm more than happy to carry on my own. Lovely to do it. But Simon had left his bag, all his stuff. He's like, "Yeah, you take care of that."
Yeah. Oh, it's standard.
Which was your favourite back-to-back then, having said that?
Argentina,
yeah.
Yeah,
10 hours.
We did a 10-hour back-to-back in Argentina. It was ridiculous.
Oh, amazing.
I liked Australia as well.
Oh, the first one we ever did in Melbourne was... God, what was the name of that club? Chasers. That was really, really good. And then we also... Academy was really good.
Yeah, I loved. Yeah,
Academy was fucking brilliant in Los Angeles.
And Chicago.
My God! Simon had a residency at Soundbar in Chicago, which is such a good club.
Never been.
Oh man.
Yeah, we'd had some brilliant nights there.
We used to wow, the stories we have there. It's just every time that we came into town, they knew it was going to be a long weekend.
I think that's why they stopped
booking us
because like we were pouring their staff back into the place on a Monday morning, changing flights, multiple thousands of dollars on room service bills.
Proper rock stars.
Proper crazy
You had
shit.
a great time.
That's the thing. The youth this day, they have no idea how to party. And there's me telling everyone, I'm going to help the youth.
Yeah.
But no, they should be a lesson to them. But no, we were like rock stars there. It was,
It was
but those nights were great. Something about Chicago, it's such a...
edgy.
It's gritty city.
Yeah, really kind of, there was a particular vibe in that club that you didn't get anywhere else in the US, I don't think.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to go to Chicago now.
Yeah, the thing is, it stopped. They stopped it. The club is now doesn't do trance anymore, does it?
No, it's quite a dangerous city. It's got the highest murder rate anywhere in America.
Wow,
and there are areas of Chicago that even the police won't go, like these industrial estates that have just been taken over by drug gangs and stuff. But I guess it was sort of like that edginess when you put all of these people together in a purely drinking environment, it probably kick off. But you put them all in a room and they're all high on ecstasy, it was fucking mental. Like the nights we played, they were crazy.
Yeah, we had rappers in the DJ booth who'd never even heard this music, and they were like, "What is this?"
Yeah, what is this? We're like, they normally come out to like R&B and hip hop, and they're like hammering
this is
techno.
amazing. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds incredible.
That was
Amazing. Good. So, having said that, you do have 2 big back-to-back sets coming up. Saturday, 24th of August in LA, and then March 29th at Lab 11 in Birmingham. So your LA show, you're partnering with Work and 6am, who are the coolest promoters of underground techno and hard techno in that city. That's quite a big statement to be going to big warehouse spaces to put on underground shows at a time when the other trance events in the city are mostly sort of big production, LED walls everywhere, very in-your-face shows. Tell me the backstory, tell us the backstory and why you wanted to go in that direction, why you wanted to work with Work 6am on this concept.
I mean, I consider the music that we play to be quite underground. It's the underground end of trance, and I guess trance as a genre is colossal now. There are so many different sides to it. At the sort of cosmic gate end, which is more kind of the EDM end of trance, through to Asterix at that end, and the more pop music with kick and offbeat bassline stuff that is really blowing up in Northern Ireland with Shugs and Symmetric, and that's getting on daytime radio, which is cool. But
Really
I like to think that we're sort of closer to the underground end. And I just really like the guys from Work and 6am. They're fucking cool. They're totally on our vibe. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to put on a proper rave, a warehouse rave, with us playing all night long, and so it's a proper journey, and 2 or 3 hours of really building up, and then 4 or 5 hours of absolutely smashing it, but do it in these stripped back warehouse environments where Work and 6am are putting on all their hard techno shows with like 9/9s and I Hate Models, and these shows are so music focused. And I think when you strip away a lot of the production and put all of that money into the sound system, obviously there's still going to be production. It's not going to be just one bloke with a torch. It's still going to be a show. But I think you move the DJ down from this kind of almost altar godlike position down to the floor level and make it a bit more of a one-on-one experience, like really intimate and really. It puts the emphasis back on the music and the fact that it is an underground rave and not a commercial thing with bottle service and VIP and all that sort of shit. It's like
about the music.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought process on it anyway.
Do you prefer you would take a warehouse over a big festival any day?
Fuck yes. I mean, to be honest with you, I prefer playing clubs to festivals because I think the sound is tighter, the atmosphere that you can create is more intense. You've almost got like a one-on-one connection with everyone in the room.
Yeah.
You compare playing a big stage where you can only see the first 3 or 4 rows of people, and then the rest is like, who knows?
And can you remember the first time you played in LA, both of you?
I played. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I played a few times, lots of times. But there was a club called Vanguard. I can't remember what it's called now, or whether it closed down. But yeah, a few. But LA only got good for me when I played the very first EDC at Coliseum.
Coliseum.
Yeah, that's when I got popular in LA. That was a great show. But that, yeah, I've been there quite a few times. I can't remember how dating how far back.
One was 2002 or it might have been 2003, but it was at the Palace, which is now Avalon. It used to be called the Palace. And they used to do these after-hour nights where they started, I think, at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and it would go on till 7 in the morning, and they were just fucking crazy. It was brilliant.
Sounds amazing.
It was really good. So you'd have, it would like from 9 o'clock till 11 o'clock, or 9 o'clock till midnight was a hip hop and R&B night.
Okay.
And then afterwards was an electronic night,
Oh,
and
wow.
the transition of one crowd leaving and the other one coming in, these guys were fucking like, there was shit going on in the car park, people pulling guns on each other, really kind of aggy crowd.
Okay.
And then the security were always like, oh, thank God you guys come in.
With
The electronic
happy
crowd,
vibes.
there's no problems, there's no issues.
And you played a back-to-back at Subculture Bangkok a few months ago. How was that show for you both? And Simon, that was your first gig in a year, right?
Yeah. I had a lot of anxiety at that show because obviously I just announced on social media that I was in rehab, and it was like, this is the first show back. I just felt like here I am. That's, and everyone's looking at me. I just felt like, and then literally the first thing that someone said to me when I walked in the club was like, do you want a line? And I'm like,
no.
bro, are you for real? Like, did you not see what my ego was telling me?
We did look at each other and laugh though. It was like, you've just taken a year out of DJing because you've got an addiction problem. You've been in rehab, and the very first gig back, you walk through the door, and the very first person you see says, do you want a line of cocaine?
That says it all. That's my reputation.
Typical.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was never going to live that down. But yeah, I had a bit of anxiety, but thank God I was playing with John because, like I said, even just doing what we did in here today, the back-to-back, I don't feel like I'm being looked at when I'm with someone.
Yeah.
But when I'm on my own, I have I know everyone's looking at me.
Yeah, you have that support.
Yeah. I don't know why I get that. But.
Yeah. What is it about playing all night long sets that you both love so much?
My heroes were Laurent Garnier, Sasha, Digweed, these long journeys that they would take you on. I used to go and see Laurent Garnier at Club UK in Wandsworth, or at The End, Mr. C's Club, The End. And, he'd play these fucking like 10-hour sets that would go through French house, techno, drum and bass, hip hop and R&B, and it was this seamless, like fucking woven thing. And for me, that was always the art of DJing. It was like telling a story, and you can't really tell the same kind of story in 1 hour that you can in 8. And this new kind of thing, I guess, in our scene of DJs playing tracks for 30 seconds, and it's like, not even really mixing, just crossfade across to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And it's just extracting the big moment from each track, and big moment. It's what I call kind of Instagram DJing, right? Because it's just like swipe, board, next. It's not really a style of DJing that that resonates with me. It's not something I would want to experience from the perspective of a dance floor, and it's not something I would ever want to do as a DJ either. Whereas you go and watch someone like Laurent Garnier, and he might take 2 hours to get to one moment. But when you get to that one moment, it's fucking ridiculous, rather than just moment. It's just like, it's too much for me.
Yeah.
But that's because I'm an old cunt. And
Yeah, I like the freedom and the ability to do something that is not expected.
Yeah. Yeah, the progression as
Yeah.
well, so your Birmingham show was postponed to March next year. Why was that?
Well, we were, this pretty tricky one actually. We had about 200 tickets left to sell, and we had about 1 month to go. And I'm pretty confident we would have done it. But unfortunately, a very close friend of ours took his own life.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And it just didn't feel appropriate to be, making videos and going on social media going, hey, we're really fucking excited about this, because he would have been there. He would have been there with us, and I don't know, I guess we just lost all enthusiasm for everything in that one moment. And so, like, you know, apologies to everyone who was inconvenienced, but we just like, you know, we cannot promote this show at the moment. It's not appropriate to be doing it. And as a result, we got to make the choice of moving it. So we just moved it to March the 29th next year, give us a bit more breathing space. And then just, you know, then we had a good 3 or 4 weeks of just switching off from engagement with the public on social media. It was just, it just didn't feel appropriate.
Yeah, that's understandable. I feel like it's good to take a break in that time for all of yourself as well. Yeah. And Lab 11, it's a new venue for the trance community. So have either of you played there before? And if so, can you describe it to those of us that haven't been? I've not been, actually.
Me neither.
No, I went and visited it with Sam to check it out before this show. And so so it's in that area. Is it Digbeth with all the underground clubs and warehouse spaces where Boxed used to be, where Transcoder used to do their shows, and it's literally just 2 streets away from that. It's railway arches. It's very cool. In the specific room that is Lab 11, it's got like a 360 DJ booth, so people can be all the way around it. It's kind of, it's cool. It's got an amazing sound system. It's pretty intimate. It's I'd say 450, maybe 500 people. And it's what we like. It's a warehouse. Fantastic. So, but it's not a warehouse that's grotty. You don't go in there and go, oh Christ, I need to shower before. You know, it's quite nice. Good bar.
Good feel to it. Vibes.
Yeah, it's been done up to a pretty high level. And also, what I also saw in that venue is there's a much bigger room in there, which the promoters said takes about 1,000 people, which I thought, fuck, it's just so good. I thought that would be an amazing space to do a 7 event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many people is Lab 11? How much?
450, maybe 500.
Okay, intimate.
Yeah. Really good space though. It's sort of got this, you know, where the booth is. It's got these levels that go up behind and behind like that, so that you can have people everywhere all around. It's going to look incredible.
Amazing. Oh, I can't wait.
Me too.
So let's talk about 7 events in the UK. Your first 7th show in the UK was the legendary sold-out show you did at Victoria Warehouse with Wrong. That night was insane. I was there. And then I guess plans were disrupted by a few years of COVID. And then you found a new home here in E1.
Yeah.
And you went on to host another amazing sold-out show here in November. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think E1 is quite similar to the Cotton Sheds, which is the back part of Victoria Warehouse, where we did that 7 show in Manchester. I think it's sort of got a similar vibe. Sound system is definitely better here in E1 for sure, even though we did have a really good void system up there. But I think we were always looking for a warehouse space in London. And actually we came close to doing a show in London with Wrong. We went and looked at steel yards. We found a really good place up, God, I can't remember what it's called, in North London that was amazing. It was a similar kind of underground warehouse space, but on the top level, it also had a restaurant. And we were going to do like a kind of intimate 100 people barbecue building up to an evening event. We had great plans for that, but COVID kind of fucked everything up. But I'm glad that we did wait, and that last year's show here was our first show, because it was unbelievable. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry that you missed it, but
yeah, I was there. It was a
great.
great time.
It was a good
great
show,
time. Simon, you did miss that show, as we just mentioned, so you must be pumped for this November.
Yeah, looking forward to it, yeah, it's going to be good. I've heard lots of stories about it. Obviously, seen it today. It's quality.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking forward to returning.
You've got an idea of what you're going to play
Yeah.
and the kind of set. Yeah.
do you think you'll wear shoes?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Is that a problem if I don't?
No, I don't think so.
Special occasion.
Will they let me in?
Of course.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
So Nifra, she's joined 7, which is a great moment for the label, in my opinion. I run Trance Girls UK myself. I'm really, really passionate about bringing more women into the scene. Yeah, can you explain the process of how this came about, how you feel about it?
Well, obviously there was a glaring issue with diversity in Seven, but at the same time, I don't want it to be perceived as simply us trying to tick that box.
Of course.
It wasn't.
No.
You know, we were watching what Nifra was doing, and actually, if you said to me Nifra of 3 years ago, it wouldn't have been compatible. But we were watching what she was doing. She's in that same management group as Maddox.
Yeah.
And her sound is sort of crossing more into the Maddox world, which is sort of almost like techno meets tech trance. It's very big room sounds.
Yeah.
And what I always try to aspire to with Seven is to have a representation of all different sides of trance.
Yeah.
Except the really EDM stuff. I'm not interested in that. But and that was a sound we weren't really doing.
Yeah.
And I was listening to a few of her sets and I was like, fucking hell, it's really, really good. And then was just following her on social media and watching her rise. And I just thought, you know what, we need that sound in Seven.
Yeah.
And okay, it helps with the diversity thing, but it was the sound and just Nifra herself that I wanted to sign to Seven predominantly before any other reason.
Yeah.
And she's fucking great. I mean, she's a really good DJ. She brings fresh energy, which is, you know...
It's great to watch her play as well.
Yeah.
I feel she brings a lot of energy.
Yeah, a lot of energy.
Yeah, her set at Luminosity this year, I really, really enjoyed. And I saw it her wrong in Malta as well. And yeah, she brings a huge amount of energy. And it's always packed for her shows.
Yeah.
Lots of people love Nifra.
Yeah, and she loves what she does. She's super passionate about it. And I think that resonates. It's infectious. It's nice to see. And I think, you know, we got to, as we were talking about earlier on in the interview, you've got to be bringing new talent through as well. And she's a rock star, and we're proud and honoured that she said yes to joining Seven.
Yeah. When is she next playing for Seven?
The London show will be the first.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Excited for that. And Simon, your iconic single Us has just seen a re-release on Seven, and bizarrely, this is the first time that the original mix has been available on Spotify
Yeah, I don't know why.
and other streaming platforms. What is it about this record that people in the scene feel so deeply connected with?
I don't really know, actually. It's a good question. And same with me. I don't know why it affects me a lot, but I just think it's one of those tracks that's just, I don't know. I mean, it's not like the melody is great, but it's just got that feeling, you know. It's not really, not because it's my record, but there's not really any trance record, and maybe apart from maybe Plastic Boy Silver Bath, that's ever I can listen to and just go, oh man, it does something to me. And I've tried so many times to make a riff like that, and I just can't. There's just something magical about it, and it's just, you know. But yeah, and people I guess have such an affiliation with it because it gets such a good reaction, you know. It's just been. It doesn't seem like it ever gets boring.
It doesn't, yeah. It's so emotional.
Exactly, yeah.
It's, hard to put into words.
Yeah, I don't know, I can't explain. Because if you'd asked me this like 3 or 4 years ago, I wouldn't have said Us was my favourite track, but it's only in the last sort of, maybe after COVID, that's just really sort of means something more to me now.
Could I ask what your favourite track is?
Well, it's not, now it would be Us,
yeah.
But previously it would have been something like, you know, maybe Smack, or not because it makes me uplifted, or it's just because of what it did for my career, you know, the meaning of it. You know, I'm known for that techie, just randomness, and I think that Thump and Smack were the two things that sort of cemented me as that artist. But Us, actually, in hindsight, was just one of those understated, you know, fine wine type records, which just kept on growing.
And you've launched the limited edition vinyl of the release, right? On the 7 Bandcamp.
Yeah, with an amazing Blashier remix, really, really strong remix. He's this kind of rising star of the techno scene in Argentina, and his music's so good. So he did a remix of a Sinful Biz track called Music on Deep in Thought, and I was like, fuck man, would you be up for remixing Simon Patterson Us as well for the re-release of Us, because we just got the rights back from Spinning. And he was up for it, absolutely smashed it. It was amazing. But we were, building up to launch 7 on Bandcamp, and we're like, fuck, we need something cool to do it. And then this came about. It's like, wow, re-release of Us, Blashier remix on vinyl, amazing. It was. I think you said something interesting in another, was it an interview or something? Someone asked you why Us had the title Us.
Yeah, I actually am wondering that.
Yeah, and I think your answer to that was. Not sure.
Yeah, what was my answer to that? I can't.
You said.
No, because Us was. People think Us means a relationship.
Yeah.
It's all of us. That I called it that because for me, when I made it, I just felt like this is that track that we're on the dance floor together. It's us, and it has that power.
Yeah.
But in recent years, when I play that, I get emotional because I think of us, of the us that I fucked up, as in the relationships. It sort of went. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
As a double meaning.
Yeah.
And John, you've remixed Simon a few times. Remixing Smack, Brushstrokes, and most recently Apex. And Simon, you've remixed John's Discover Dark Hit Blackout.
Yeah.
But when are we going to see a proper banging collab from the two of you?
We did start like one ages ago, and
we just need time together because I think it would probably. We did start something, and it's not bad. I did listen to it the other day. It's not bad. It just sounds a bit dated, but the ideas are certainly there. I think we just could do with a week together in the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting the time.
Yeah. But I think it is. You're right. I think it is overdue.
Yeah.
And John, you've been involved on the front lines of the trance scene for over 30 years, right?
I know, it shows, doesn't it?
How do you think the scene and the sound has evolved since you first encountered it in 1993 and 94?
In 1993 and 1994, or that early 90s era, it was mostly coming out of Germany, like Sven Vath, Cosmic Baby, Mariota Bellis, DJ Dag, who is my all-time hero. And I used to go to Club UK on the Friday nights of Club UK in Wandsworth, a night called Final Frontier, and see these guys playing this incredible music. And Sven Vath back then was playing like 160, 170 BPM hard trance. It's fucking amazing. A lot of what I do as Nothing But Rockets is inspired by that period.
I loved your Nothing But Rockets set, Louise.
Oh, thank you.
Loved it.
Thank you. But, I think it got quite, it sort of blew up and become quite mainstream in terms of being played on radio and stuff by Jules and Dave Pearce and even Tom at the end of the 90s, that big explosion. A lot of people kind of perceive that period, that 1998 to 2001 being the golden era of trance when it really exploded. But I think that was a period where it certainly had some amazing music coming out, but it sort of became quite commercialized, that then went off into really commercial EDM-y stuff, which has somehow been, labeled as trance still. But and I'm not dissing that. I think there's a lot of different styles under the banner of trance, but for me, there's that sound that came out of Frankfurt, a lot of which was inspired by sounds from Goa in India, which was really one of the original epicenters of trance. And obviously then went on to become psytrance because loads of Israeli guys were doing their military service and then going to Goa and fucking letting off steam, and they brought this sound back, and then the Israelis just fine-tuned it and refined it and made it more powerful, more dynamic.
Yeah.
So I've been there since the beginning of trance, and I've never stopped loving it. I've been in love with it since the very beginning, and I'll continue to be in love with it as it evolves and as it grows. But there's a particular area within it, the underground area that we were talking about earlier on, that's my area and the one I love the most, because I find it's more hypnotic, it's more kind of lose yourself in the moment, in the music, and it's more about the actual art of layering 2 records or 3 records on top of each other for 3 or 4 minutes, and it's therefore that process of those two records layered over each other for a long period of time that becomes the big moments. And that's the art of DJing, right? So it's not just, I'm going to get big moments by just playing this record, then this record, then this record, and not creating anything new by those two records interacting with each other for a long period of time. And so, I don't know, trance, the word, if you look it up in the dictionary, it's about being lost in a hypnotic state. And that, for me, is what trance ought to be. Hypnotic music that you lose yourself in the rhythms and stuff.
Yeah. How do both of you feel about the bootleg thing that swept a lot of the trance scene recently? Lots of artists making a big impact with these bootleg remixes of the big 90s classics.
Well, I mean, I technically did that with Suzanne Vega, but but that wasn't really the 90s, was it? Or was it the 80s? I don't know. But I think it's just, for me, honestly, it's just, there's no skill in that at all. It's just that I honestly don't listen to anybody, but when John tells me what's popular, it's like, well, I'm glad I don't listen to anybody, because it would make me not want to come back. I need to be, that's not pushing boundaries to me. Where's the people that were like, when I first heard Asterix, that blew my mind. What are these sounds? What is this like?
Different.
I don't want to hear like na. What's that Free From Desire shit? Come on, my. Is that what we really? Is that what we have no ideas to do that?
I think it's not just in trance though. It's in techno as well. It's also in hard techno. Hard techno has now become EDM. It's the reason why hard techno is so fucking big all over Europe, and why Clan Kunstler and guys like that are filling these huge. It's really become very commercial music. It's very like those little soundbite clips that blow up on TikTok, and it becomes a thing. I mean, it's not for me personally, the bootlegging like 90s classics or even pop music from that era and bringing it forward. But at the same time, if you go back to that one summer, I can't remember when the fuck it was, when David Guetta had 3 #1 hits in one summer. It was like the summer with Kelly Rowland, When Love Takes Over, and there were 2 others. And he had 3 #1 hits in one summer.
2012 or something like this.
Something, right? Yeah. And it just blew up in America. It blew the fuck up. And as a result, hundreds and hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of kids were being exposed to electronic music for the first time on radio, because this was getting a lot of radio play, right? And then you had everyone from Rihanna to all the big pop stars wanting to collaborate with Hardwell and Axwell and David Guetta and Kelvin Harris. And as a result, all the festivals, all the big Insomniac shows and all these other big festivals just had this huge new influx of people. And these artists became rock stars, and promoters who were traditionally having to book bands to do 15,000 tickets on a Wednesday night were now booking one bloke and his manager and a USB stick, and they were coming doing the same number of tickets. And some people might go, oh, fuck, they're commercializing the scene. Yeah, they might be, but at the same time, those hundreds of thousands of kids that are coming in, it's just normal for people to gravitate towards the entry-level music. But once you've been in there for a couple of years, and your tastes have matured, and you've done that thing now, and now you want to scratch the surface and see what else is out there. If that bootleg thing brings a shitload of additional people in, and then they gravitate towards other styles of music, and some of it cross over into our world, then I'm grateful for it. So
especially young people.
Just I think what those guys are doing in Northern Ireland stuff is massive. It's getting a lot of radio play, and as a result, is bringing eyes on the trance scene in general. Yeah. And you can't knock them for that.
I'm not, but what I'm saying is, like, I guess I'm just looking at it from my perspective. It's like where's the pioneering? And we need to, like, electronic music is about breaking boundaries and taking risks. I mean, like, if we're going to keep listening to all that stuff, and by the way, I'm not knocking just the Northern Irish guys. That's not what I meant. I just meant in general, like, when I listen to the music now, it's like, it seems like it's very lazy and no one's spent a lot of time on it. And like, when you listen to old Asterix stuff, it's like, it's just, you can tell he spent like months on this.
Yeah.
And that's that's the throwaway culture now. People, unfortunately, you can't spend a month or 2 months on a record. It is a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
And I think that because we're in this era of people being so bored, it's hard, I guess it's very hard to stand out and find those new sounds because it is such a conveyor belt.
Maybe the fast-paced nature of it as well.
Yeah.
People's attention span is just minuscule.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
And finally, we are doing this interview in the Black Studio here at E1. And this is the new venue for the after party at 7 London.
Yes.
Can you give us a rundown of the plan for the afters? And can you tell us who you have in the running for that special guest slot?
I don't know, actually. Well, there are probably 4 or 5 names that we're talking about at the moment, and we're still keen to hear other people's opinions on it because we'd like to choose someone that everyone wants to see. Me personally, I would like to see Zach Sloth because we all play shitloads of his records, but he's from Mexico and he's never played over here. It would be great if we could get him over here. I'm not sure how we would go about that and navigate it in terms of visas, but me personally, I would love to see him on that show.
I listened to him a lot over COVID.
Yeah.
I've never seen him. I'm assuming he hasn't played here before then.
No. And but his music, especially now in this last year, he's just fucking brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. And any time he sends me a record, I just get so excited.
Yeah.
To download and listen to it as soon as humanly possible because it's going to be amazing. But yeah, this room is infinitely better than the last room we were in, which was it was kind of like a pop-up sound system in a small room. But this is a proper club.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this fucking bass bins here. It's proper.
It's amazing.
So yeah, the Black Studio. The main event finishes at 10 o'clock. This starts at 10 o'clock. Sam Mitchum's going to play an hour, and we're going till 5 o'clock in the morning. Sam plays an hour. Will Atkinson and I are going to do an hour back to back. Then it will be a special guest, not sure who, and then maybe we invite back one of the old members of Seven. I don't know, and then it'll be Greg Downey closing. I think that's going to become a tradition because his closing set at the last after party was ludicrous. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited. Well, that brings our questions to an end. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Thank you. Lovely talking with you. Thank you.
You.